Hi, hello, welcome to the Simple Souls podcast. I'm Leslie, if you didn't know, and I hope you've been having a great day. Today we're getting a little bit into a one-on-one type of conversation with balance and vulnerability. Balance is putting yourself into proportions, and being vulnerable is how you allow yourself to be in the moment of those proportions. Jumping right into it, I was someone who didn't like to talk about their emotions or problems unless the person I was speaking to was doing the same, because then I would know that we can trust each other on that level. But it is something I've been working on and trying to grow in because, number one, it's always seen as a weak character trait when it really takes a lot for some people to bring up that type of conversation. And number two, that's going to be my whole career as I talk and guide people into becoming their best selves. Now, to me, balance is essential in anyone's life. Whether you have a lot going on or not, having balance or that separation between your work and education, for example, helps you maintain yourself. There are so many examples that I can tell you about how gaining this type of stability has helped me, but instead, I want to talk about what happened when I was unconscious to that. Reason being that I've noticed how people don't listen or don't really care until they hear something concerning or hear something that is aligned with their behaviors or actions. And unconscious meaning I never paid attention to it or put that into consideration for myself. By now you should know my big mental health story and medical trauma, and if you don't, then that's why my first video was created. But in all seriousness, I remember one day specifically that always sticks with me because it was one of the times I couldn't manage any more conversations about doctor appointments or advice or anything really. I sat in my room thinking about how I let myself become this person who needed help everywhere I was going and why I didn't see it coming. I needed someone to be there when I was having anxiety, and I needed someone to constantly remind me that this tumor wasn't the end of my time or it wasn't something that should stop me from dreaming. And I knew why I got to that point, and I knew what I needed to do to overcome this barrier, but I couldn't let it go since I thought that I would lose everything. And that barrier was school. I put school as my number one priority ever since I went into high school, and unfortunately, it just became very unhealthy for me without me noticing it. I kept adding on AP classes, joining clubs, doing extra credit in case of anything when I really didn't need it, and I didn't let myself do anything else. Not because I have strict parents, not because of peer pressure, but because I want to go all the way since I have the resources and not many people do. My mindset was also stuck on, you're already this far and you can't mess this up for yourself. I was supposed to take 4 AB classes this year because that's what I planned for, but I learned to accept that it was too much for me, so now I'm only taking 1. And gratefully I am now able to give myself some space if I'm tired or if I need it, but this is also where vulnerability comes in. Someone who is not vulnerable is not always because they're not an emotional person or don't like to bring up certain conversations or topics. For me, it was because I ignored it and I pushed it away since I was always too busy. I didn't give myself the chance to regulate that as something important and necessary for people to evolve, which it is, by the way. But overall, my point is that without balance and being vulnerable, you don't move on. You don't change. You don't let yourself be free of the traumas or regrets that you have. And you're choosing not to live your life at the best that it can be. It seriously eliminates toxic behavior, stress, and work buildup, and it feels better to know that you do have your own back when you're overall. The quote for this week's episode is one of my favorites because I saw it after I found out that I had a tumor. And even though I wasn't mentally or physically able to feel okay, it did give me some relief. The other day I went to the library to get some work done after SRLA practice, and this particular lady came up to me and said that she remembers me from last year because I was always there until the second semester. And I decided to have the conversation about everything that happened because she's one of the few staff members that I actually talk to and trust. But it's moments like that where you realize the little things you need to focus on within yourself. I thought I was fully recovered until that time in the library because it gave me flashbacks. And it did make me realize how much I've grown from those dark times, but it also brought up some uncovered emotions. People assume that healing journeys are supposed to end at some point, but as I mentioned before, it doesn't. You actually get into the habit of being vulnerable, practicing self-care, and creating balance for your mental and physical health. Coming to an end, I just want to say that being vulnerable looks different for a lot of people, just like how everyone has different love languages or coping mechanisms, but it simply starts with you noticing yourself first. Thanks for being here, thanks for supporting me, and as always, I appreciate every like and subscription. Also, it is National Me Day, so happy birthday to me, but I hope you all have a good week, and I'll talk to you again soon.